The origins of the human species go back millions of years. Human beings have existed on this planet for millions of years, though the full discovery of this has yet to be made. For the human species has been developed through the genetic mutation of original species and the intermingling with species from another planet, another place. There were originally evolving species upon this planet. As I have said previously, the planet itself is a living being, a living, thriving organism that, as all organisms in this created universe, wants to move out of the grip of tamaguna, out of the grip of the static principle, into more life, more capacity to express consciousness. So this is the impetus for evolution. What we know as evolution is in fact the development of greater and greater self-awareness and capacity to exist closer to the infinite. So the cosmic nucleus, Purushottama, has a continual pull on all creation. Out of the 5 elements, the manifest universe has evolved, has come into existence within the mind of the infinite. But there is that continual pull upon creation that is the pull towards its state of its natural state of being, which is pure aware consciousness. And so this core of everything, this conscious witnessing awareness, draws all life towards it. And in this process, when life is evolving from its original existence to a more conscious, intelligent existence, we call this process evolution. The earth itself as a living being has been evolving for a very long time, since its formation. And in that evolution, naturally, life occurred, because in life, there is more consciousness, less binding of the static principle than in those manifestations which as rocks and gas and elemental forces. So these elemental forces combine and produce life. And as the life is pulled towards greater and greater self-awareness, it evolves. The forms change and change again to become more consistent with the evolving consciousness. And thus, evolution was going on this planet. But more developed species were observing the evolution. And as the evolution reached a certain point where there were mammals and beings with the potential to evolve into human beings, a program of genetic engineering was instituted by those those beings whose right it was to observe and guide this young planet. And so there was the genetic evolution with assistance of living beings. Over an extended period of time, the different forms of human beings developed. But as the different forms developed and the flaws in their development were seen, new genetic material was introduced. To their current state, these beings enhance the evolution of the planet. And they utilize their own DNA, their own genetic coding, to evolve the current human species. So that the human beings of today have a very similar evolutionary background and look to them of those original people from a distant galaxy who assisted with the evolution of this planet. So the question, what and was the first human being, is complicated, because there were human beings here long ago. They were not of this planet. And the traces of them will be difficult to find because they made a point to not be noticeable and to allow the evolution of the planet to go on with their assistance. So these beings were on the planet long ago, and their influence in the genetic coding is noticeable, significant. And thus, there was, over time, an evolutionary direction. Some of the experiments that were tried were not viable. Or if they were viable, their potential for further evolution was limited. And so different species began to arise through natural evolution with assistance, until finally the intermixing and coding became such that the current Homo sapien existed. And there was intermarriage, interrelation between those early humans and those people from a far distant world. And thus, the current human existence is present. There was a time when the evolving societies lived hand in hand with very evolved societies that were on this planet, but were from elsewhere. This went on for hundreds of thousands of years. Until that colonization was ended. And those people stranded in here, those people stranded here remained. But their technologies were long forgotten. Thus you see the great wonders of the ancient world, impossible to explain even by modern standards of technology. The people of these ancient times were very sophisticated. They brought with them high levels of technology beyond our current existence. And societies bloomed in the world. Societies of these people who colonized the earth. They bloomed in different parts of the planet. And these people lived hand in hand with the evolving species and assisted with that evolution. Their societies spanned the globe. Though they were small colonies, they were interconnected. But the main bulk of the planet was undeveloped. It was a beautiful haven, ripe with opportunity, alive with multiple species. The initial evolution of large animals, the dinosaurs, had passed. The mammals had come into existence. The planet was alive, viable, wild, and rich. For scientific purposes, and for opportunity, it was determined to be a good place for colonization. On the outer fringes of the galaxy, a new young planet, a young star with great potential. The people came, they stayed, they intermingled as the species evolved. They brought their technology, and they were highly sophisticated societies. But a time came when those colonists were withdrawn. And what remained was the indigenous species and the commingled species. And so human society was there, developed, but the technologies disappeared. And the people remaining, some still of origin from another place, others evolved here, others blended, they remained. And they formed the first societies, indigenous or mostly indigenous to this planet. The first evolution of human beings were of a different nature, but the Homo sapien developed in this commingled manner. The other lines slowly faded, and the Homo sapien remained. The original societies, as I have said, were highly evolved with technologies from elsewhere, people from elsewhere. They were genetically much the same as modern humans, but slightly different. Some genetic traits did not carry well between the species, but most did. And the evolution brought what is now considered modern man and woman. So there was a regression from advanced societies to primitive societies. Because when the advanced societies removed their presence and their technology, the people remaining had to find a way to exist. They had limited access to technology, and over time their access was lost entirely. Ancient texts will talk about flying machines in the Rig Vedas. And in South America, you will see the pyramids made in a way that modern technology could not make. And in Egypt, you see signs. There was advanced society. There were advanced societies interconnected to each other with technologies that came from beyond this earth sphere. When they crumbled, those people remaining had to find their way along with the evolving species that they had genetically assisted. They formed societies, but over time lost their knowledge and so had to regain it. There have been different evolutionary cycles on this planet where society has developed sophistication. There were later great trade and evolution evolved, and there were great trade routes and great societies of what we think of as the ancient past, but only 12, 13, 14,000 years ago, not so long in the span of things. Those societies were not of the technological levels that the first societies that brought technology with them had, but they were more developed than the societies to follow them. They devolved. So there have been these evolutionary waves, these cycles that come. Evolution is not a straight line like this. It's a cycle. Cycles. And this planet does not exist in a vacuum. It's surrounded by thousands, millions of stars. And of those, a great percentage have vital planets that contain life, evolving life, or life that has evolved and gone on. For the evolutionary process of life does not end at the human stage. This is an intermediate stage of evolution. Human beings are an intermediate species. They have come from the animal world to the human world, defined by the ability to ask, who am I? The ability of self-reflection, mental capacity of self-reflection, the witnessing consciousness is more evolved. And with that comes many abilities that are not present when that does not evolve. We call that stage the human stage. The look of human beings may differ in different evolutionary environments, but they will all have this ability. Yet those human beings who remained on this planet when the initial colonies departed, they developed, grew societies. And in this natural cycle of expansion to heights and then de-evolution, and then evolution again, and de-evolution, and again evolution, humanity has evolved to the current stage. But as I have said, this is intermediate. From this stage forward, a new type of evolution will occur, has occurred with other species, not of this world, because our evolution in this world is the evolution of the earth itself, a being of material existence bound by the gunas, bound by the operative principles and the static principle, wanting consciousness bound in that material existence, wants to expand, wants to grow, wants to move towards pure awareness, self-awareness. So in this evolution, human beings are discovering that they have the creative power of those who created them. They have the creative power of the cosmic mind. They do not know yet that they are part of that cosmic mind, and that is why they have that creative power, but they begin to tap into it. And so they create what is known today as technology and artificial intelligence. But that is just the beginning, the little tip of human potential. Human beings have the ability to move beyond this limited existence, to become more. There will be a blending, a psychic blending. Already it is occurring. People are becoming more and more interwoven. One planet, one people. Naturally, there's the systolic movement of evolution. But there comes a stage when human beings as separate entities will cease to exist, but will blend into a common mind, a common existence. And then evolution will quickly go until the consciousness that has started in the earth itself will move into the cosmic realm, and the full potential of the creative mind of the cosmos will be in the humanity, for the humanity will cease to be human and will evolve collectively into the cosmic mind, into the natural state of human existence, the natural state of all manifest existence. It will return to pure awareness. So this is an intermediate stage of evolution that this species and this planet is engaged with. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about, you said that the very first people who attained human consciousness have disappeared, and then there was the current Homo sapiens. Could you say more about these first peoples that came to the world before the current race of Homo sapiens?
The first people who came from elsewhere, they came in ships. They looked much as people look today, maybe a little different, a little taller. But they had the hair, the features that we consider Homo sapien. They were long lived by our standards. They built their societies, their colonies, using their technologies, their definitions of architecture were very different than ours. Their values on the worship of the cosmos were high. They built pyramids. They built star maps. They brought their culture with them. They aided the planet, assisted it genetically. They had societies, entire societies of thousands. They saw the earth as a living, vital organism. They were tending. It was their duty to tend to the evolution of the earth. That is why they were here. They were genetic founders. Is there more to your question?
Yeah, what about the stories about these beings? There are other seemingly evolved beings, little people, leprechauns, the Sasquatch, those part of the evolutionary history of the world?
Yes, there were many different efforts many lines of evolution that did not continue, but they existed. There were small people, and now and then there is a genetic throwback to these people. There were very tall people that you will find genetic throwback to occasionally. So they became the giants and the little people of myth. For what was once a reality is recorded from generation to generation until it is a myth, isn't it? There are also those beings, those spirits that exist in non physical form. They are sometimes accessed. This other world, this world of fairy, when a person is semi sleeping, or for some reason their minds have slipped into the different dimensional existence. Think of it as a crystal. All in all, you see it reflects the light, but it has different sides, different angular surfaces, and those surfaces will reflect the light in different colors. So the universe is multifaceted. It does not just exist in one frequency. Manifestation is in different frequencies. And that is why you have the story of the non corporal beings. They exist in a certain realm. All right?
And these are evolving beings as well.
Yes, most definitely. All existence is evolving towards the one cosmic whole. This is the natural state of being. All ascribe to it, but in certain planes, it is more feasible than in others. So beings may evolve from one plane to another, their consciousness moving between these different rays. All right?
Are the people who are coming from this other dimension, is that dimension Swarloka?
In the systems of worlds, the lokas are definitive, one and another. But in reality, it is a subtle transition, as if you took a chart and you went from blue to green and all the colors in between. Hmm? So when you get to one point, you say, well, this is definitely blue and this is definitely green. But it doesn't have a specific demarcation. So yes and no. All right?
Okay for now. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Namaskar.